third set of drivers for a new paradigm in global problem solving and governance is some background changes to all institutions. The way that we solve problems within a city or a state, or for that matter globally, are based on governments. And governments, say in any country, are these command and control, vertically integrated bureaucracies. And I don't use the term bureaucracy in a pejorative sense. Bureaucracies are required. I mean, 80 years ago, bureaucracy was the big hot term in management thinking. And we needed to have systems and processes and reporting structures to protect the public purse, to prevent against graft and patronage and corruption, and to enable things to get done. But what's happening in the private sector is that these vertically integrated companies are unbundling into networks. And a similar thing is beginning to happen with governments. Governments at the local level, regional or state level, why wouldn't these background changes to the architecture of all institutions apply to the way that we solve problems on a global level as well? And to really understand this, we need to go back to a great economist named Ronald Coase. Ronald Coase died in 2013 at the age of 102. And it was over 70 years ago that he wrote a paper where he asked a deceptively simple question. He said, why does the firm exist? He said, if Adam Smith is right and an open market is the best mechanism for determining how information and people and goods and resources are allocated in an economy, why isn't everybody an independent contractor at every step along the way in production? And he said the answer is, and he won a Nobel Prize for saying this, the answer is transaction costs. Now the way he defined that, he really meant the cost of collaboration. He said the cost of search, this is 70 years ago, in an open market, the cost of finding all the right information or people or resources to do something be totally prohibitive, so we bring that inside the boundaries of a corporation. The cost of coordination, the cost of contracting in an open market, totally prohibitive. Every little activity required a contract, nothing would ever get done. And the big industrialists understood this. In the private sector, Henry Ford had within the boundaries of the Ford Motor Company a power plant, steel mill, glass factory, shipping company, had mahogany forests in Honduras to get the wood for his cars. Why? Because the costs of transactions in an open market were greater than the cost of doing things inside the boundaries of a corporation. Along comes the early days of transportation, telephony, primitive communications technologies, information technology, and the boundaries of corporations became more porous. Then with the internet, these vertically integrated companies began to unbundle into networks. So Cisco understood this, and they built a network. They focused on what they did best and partnered to do the rest. Now that little poem may not be, Longfellow, but it makes the point. And a business model based on a network conferred competitive advantage to Cisco. Their competitors, Nortel and Lucent and Alcatel and so on, didn't do that, or were slower to do that. And now what's happening is that transaction and collaboration costs are dropping so much in an open market that peers can now come together and create value. Peers in the sense of companies acting as peers rather than as superiors and subordinates in a supply chain, and peers in the sense of people working outside the boundaries of traditional companies. So if you can create an encyclopedia with 1 million people, it's in 240 languages, it's 20 times bigger than Britannica, but the quality is just as good according to the big study that's been done. What else could you create? Could you create a computer operating system? Well, the Linux operating system is now the dominant operating system in the world. So the deep structure and architecture of the firm is changing. Why wouldn't this also happen in government? And it can. Governments can now open up, not just in the sense of being transparent. Governments can start to release raw data And in doing so, they become a platform. And on that platform, you have private companies, civil society organizations, foundations, academics, individuals, other government agencies self-organizing to create what we used to call government, to create public value or government services. So this represents a new division of labor in society. It's not about e-gov or something like that. This is a profound change in how we get capability to create public value. This is absolutely applicable to the global scale. Right now, we have these traditional global institutions that are based on the command and control model of the industrial age government. And we can now embrace the new thinking and move more towards a network model of solving global problems. So this is an important driver for change and a new approach, that we now have profound changes to the architecture of all institutions, and this thinking and know-how can be applied to the global stage.